Welcome to another Entrepreneur Vlog 100 episode. I know it's been a while since I last uploaded a video, but I've just been hustling a little bit harder, okay? So today's episode, I want to talk about the 3 key seasons of growing a business, okay? And the reason why it's titled 3 key seasons of growing a business is because this is basically assuming your company is already up and running, you've already started building things, and you're already out there in the market, and now you're thinking about growing the company. Now, this is something the thing about business is that the seasons can be based on during a yearly calendar. It can be based on 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, depending on how much capital you really have to play with. So I'm going to be coming this from a perspective of a person who is investing in their own business, their own capital without outside investment. Then you can be able to customize based on if you have outside investment or not. Now, this is something that's based on my experience and what's been working for me. And then also, of course, coupling with other different entrepreneurs who are way more successful, who've had way better experience. And also you can be able to go see their companies, Amazon, Facebook, etc., and learn from them as well, okay? So the first key thing, understanding about the seasons of growing a business is that you can be able to start wherever you are right now. So this does not necessarily mean that it's 1, 2, 3. That means that if you are in this season, stop doing this and get back here. No, you have to understand seasons of the year is basically where you are right now, and what's coming next is what's more important, right? So hopefully that does make sense. For example, if you're in winter right now, and I'm talking about summer, does not mean you magically flip the switch and go into summer mode. No, you prepare for summer. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm talking about here. So the first season, okay, the first season, number 1 here, is basically the building stage. Now, I know I said that if your company is already up and running, it's already moving, stuff like that, you're still building something even if you're a large company. Hence, Facebook, building new features like IGTV into Instagram, etc. Every company is still building something. If your company is not building something, then that's probably where you need to start focusing on. So the first key stage is building. Now, when it comes to the building stage, it's basically where that you're trying to add on new features, new additional services, improvements into your company. Now, during the building stage, it's going to cost you most of your capital. Okay, here's why I say most of your capital is because when it comes to building something, it's going to cost you in research and development. It's going to cost you in hiring more employees, maybe. It's going to cost you on putting a lot of capital and investing and taking risk. Okay, the building stage does take risk. That's where you're putting in money in. That's where you're experimenting with things that you are building. Now, the building stage is a little bit different from another stage we'll talk about later about investing capital into growing your company, etc., marketing, and etc. The reason why building stage is different from that one is because the building stage, you're literally sucking money away from your net cash and building into something that's not necessarily yielding ROI at that moment. That's why the building stage is basically where a company is really basically on the break-even stages or really diminishing their net revenues to invest in something. Now, if you look at a company that's done this fantastically well, you look at Amazon. Amazon was in the building stage for a very, very long time. I'm talking about almost a decade. The reason for that is because Amazon had enough cash capital for them to be able to suck money away from their net revenues, to build their infrastructure, to build Prime services, to build Amazon, AWS, all those different things they've been building on and on. And now Amazon is kind of more in the stage where they're kind of focused on, let's start bringing money back home, baby. So that's basically kind of what the building stage is. It's basically where you're focused on building something, a new feature, you're adding on to something new to your platform, you're hiring more employees. Now, a great example for retailers right now, they're going through the building stages because Christmas season is coming up. That means they're getting more employees. That means they're rolling out newer products. That means they're experimenting with different things. And then when it comes to the Christmas stage, it's when they really skyrocket on the sales. So you see what I'm talking about here? Every business has seasons. And it's very important for you to understand the building season is one of the most important ones because it's going to help you sustain your company in the long term, okay? Now, the next one here is the growing stage, okay? The growing stage. The growing stage is still sucking money from your business, but not as much as it was when you were building something. Because now when you're putting capital into your growing stage, it means you're putting money into marketing, okay? It means you're putting marketing into more customer acquisition. It means you're focusing on, we built something, now let us put it out there in the market. Let us push it out to the market. Now, if you look at cars, for example, they have this season, which they do a lot of times. For example, Mercedes comes out with a new car. That means that before they release the car, they had to what? Build the car. And now when they start marketing the car. They're spending less money in building the car, manufacturing. When they're manufacturing those cars, they're not really making money, okay, guys? They're not making money. There's no person out there at the end of the manufacturing line like, oh, you made a car? Boom, I bought it. Made a car? Boom, I got it. No. What basically happens is they stock up those cars first, and then they go into this next stage here when they start marketing it out and when they start selling those cars. So basically the marketing stage is where you are growing your business, but you're not sucking a lot of money from your net sales as much as you were when you're building it. I hope that makes sense. Now, the reason why the marketing stage is very important is because you kind of relieve your company a little bit from a lot of kind of burden and a lot of risk. It's kind of where you're able to do risk management for your business. And that's where the growing stage is kind of like in the center, because it's able to hold the two together. It's able to hold the next stage and able to hold the previous stage. It helps your company be able to relax a little bit and have some cash flow coming in. Now, the final stage is called the capital building stage. It's called the asset building. It's called the cash building stage. It's basically where you go into hibernation for your business. This is where companies are focusing on how much cash can we net? How much cash can we bring back in the business? Now, you might say, well, during this stage, you're still investing in marketing. You're still investing in a little bit of R&D. But in this stage here, the third one, the last season, you're focusing on hibernation. You're focusing on conserving your energy a little bit more while building more cash. Because you have to remember that the two other stages that came before that, they could not have happened if you did not have any cash flow to experiment with. So technically, if you talking about that's why I was talking about this in the beginning. The season you're in right now does not necessarily mean you have to jump to another season, because I said 1, 2, 3. Because if you're in the cash building season, fantastic. That means you're not going to be ready to put a little bit more money into R&D, research and development, into building something new. It means you'll be able to have enough cash to go into marketing. Okay, that second one right there, marketing into your next the product you build, marketing and growing it. That's why the cash building stage is very critical. And if you look at companies like Amazon, which also still had investors and a lot of money pouring into them, they still had periods in time where if you look at their growth charts, you kind of see them going like this, doop, doop, doop. Like during those times they're peaking is where they're kind of getting that cash, baby. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to get in as much cash as they can. Because even if a company has a lot of investments, a lot of cash flowing into it from investors, they still have critical times where they relieve the company by having a little bit more cash coming in. It's very important for you to have the cash building time, because if you don't do this, you might end up running out of money here. If you run out of money here, that means you cannot have money for this. And that means you're going to be struggling to net cash because you're trying to cover up losses from here and here. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? It's very important for your company to have 3 critical seasons when it's going through the growing stages. If you don't do that, the chances are you're going to go out of market. If you're not building something new, if you're not innovating, you're going to go out of the market because a competitor will come in. Number 2, if you're not spending money into growing your company, marketing, brand building, customer acquisition, you are not going to be able to survive long-term enough or get as large as you need to be. And number 3, if you do not have the cash, you're not building up capital, you are not building up assets, all those different key things, guess what's going to happen? You cannot do those other 2 things. So you see how they each relate to each other, and you see why they each are important, and you see why each business has their own seasons. Because, for example, right now, retailers, for example, might be getting ready for the big rush of Christmas sales. So that means that, guess what? They're entering into that cash period time. And maybe another company on the other end is not getting ready into a season where they're building stuff, so they can get ready for the summer stock time, okay? The summer products are going to be selling like crazy, right? You get what I'm trying to say here? Every business has their own seasons, and some businesses, their seasons are literally based on the whole summer, fall, winter, and etc., springtime, whatever. You see what I'm trying to say here? Every business has their own kind of seasons. It's the same thing if you look at companies like Apple, for example. Apple released a new product recently, but guess what happened? Before they released that product, they did what? Building it. And then they went into what? Branding it. And then now they're focused on cashing it in. You see what I'm trying to say here? Every business has those 3 key stages, no matter what kind of company they are. And no matter what product they're selling, no matter how big or small they are, and no matter what season they're in, they'll still have to rotate in those 3 seasons. All right? Thank you very much for watching this video. Hope it was able to give you some point of view on how to do different things. Right now, for me personally, I just came from months and months of building stuff, R&Ding, and now we're entering into the whole marketing phase and then cash stock up phase. So that's why I want to make this video, because that's what's going in my mind this week as we're transitioning to the next season. And I just want to put the video out there and hopefully help out a couple people as well. All right. Thank you very much for watching this video. Like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you in another episode. Peace to the out.